Listen-only mode.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. We are at the. We're happy to invite everybody and welcome everybody to TopoDOT Release 10.5. Our first glitch of the day, I think, is that we might be maxed out as far as our our limit on the amount of people that can come. So this will be recorded and it'll be made available. And unfortunately, for those that can't come, we apologize, and we'll, make sure that everybody knows about where they can go see the release notes. I don't know if that was oversight on our part or if we can do something about it with webinar, but we'll make sure that it doesn't happen next time. Okay, so everybody, welcome. I'm Ted Knack, President of Certainty 3D. I think most of you know that. And we have online, well, the whole team. You got Fabian over there. It's going to be looking at questions. Fabian Cuervo, he's our Customer Success Manager. Of course, Maudy's going to be on the line, showing all the new things we have and new tools, new features, and giving you a little idea of where we're going to go. And Maudy will be demonstrating these tools live, so you can get a feel for what they're doing. I'll start with a brief overview of the new developments in TopoDOT, and what we'll do there is in this brief overview, I want to give you an idea of why we think these tools and why these features are important and how they'll be used. So okay, so let's get going. So let me just start the ball rolling here. So the next one. So excuse me for 1 second. All right. So that should go there. All right. So our first new feature that you're going to encounter, that's going to be available in the new release, is the random noise filter. So why is this important? Actually, you can see the two point clouds on your right and left. A lot of times a lot of our tools use intensity to identify and extract features, especially linear features. Well, that's important, and they're very, very, very automated and very functional. But the bottom line is, they have, when there's a lot of noise, intensity noise, you have a lot of issues where the tool can get confused with where the data should go and things like that. So instead of trying to avoid all this noise and counter it, it's actually better to hit a basically we developed a noise filter to clean up the data. So I think I can pretty much say that we've been effectively going through the point cloud and identified all the points that don't have many neighbors and that are isolated somewhat, and we get rid of those. And then you go from the left side of the image to the right side of the image, and you see how clean that is. And that's worth doing, because that makes all the tools run a little more effectively. That use this data. Okay, so Mauricio will be showing you that. Next new tool is a Symbology Manager. I'm not a guy who works every day in TopoDOT, but it's before, I think the way it worked is that you had to actually organize your symbology around level. It's much more effective, and it kind of mimics what they do in Geopack, Inroads, and pretty much all the design programs, probably Connect and whatever, that you organize your symbology around features. So in this case, your guardrail would have this weight, this style, this color, and your as vectors. You see there as your points, your roadway guardrail points would be, again, this particular this weight, this style, this color. So the bottom line is, I think that's pretty self-evident, but I think it's very effective. Okay, moving forward, you're going to see template extraction by shape. We're going everywhere. We're very, the template extraction is working really well. I mean, all the time we find more and more people really adopting the template way of extracting brake lines. It's working very effectively. One of the challenges we had is that a lot of the data isn't necessarily very clean. And if you ever remember the original template, and it still works that way, by the way, you could draw a line of the profile you wanted to extract, and you kind of cut the data, noise, and right down the center, draw a line. And in this case, this isn't a great example of noisy data. It's pretty clean, really. But you draw a line right down that data, and it would find that profile. When you start having data that's maybe an inch, 2 inches, 3 inches of noise, maybe more, it gets a little more difficult to draw a line and match up that profile, even though it's there. So what this new feature does, it allows you actually to make a polygon out of a polygon, and what the tool now does is to look within that polygon and say, okay, organize that, basically position that polygon based on maximizing the number of points within that polygon. So basically, and then of course you extract the brake lines where you think they should be relative to the polygon. So that is that is what the new tool will do. So it actually works in both. You have very clean data. You can use a single line. Nothing's changed there. And of course, you can weight the lines to tell what part of the line you want to weight more heavily. We would encourage everyone to really get your arms around template extraction. If you're not using it, it's really taking you 200 and 300% longer to extract your brake lines. It really is than it should. So please get your arm. It's a bit of an art, it's a bit of a skill, and we're always here to help you. But once you get a feel for how to set up these brake lines, it works really well. Okay, I'm sorry, these templates, and it works really well as far as how to extract these brake lines really quickly. And once you get a feel for it, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's what you're going to see is the template extraction. Grade analysis, pretty straightforward, and this is just we're moving into a little more of analyzing features and extracted geometry. So in this case, obviously, we've come across applications where we had to look at the slope of sidewalks, the slope of the linear gradient, grades of sidewalks, grades of road, of course. So basically, we can now automate that process to a great extent. Maddie will tell you, I forget if we're providing any spreadsheet output for this, but if it's needed, we could, but I don't think so. I think these are all extracted elements and are pretty easy to read as far as the grade and how to look at it. And since they're, of course, in MicroStation, you can also do this in DWG format. So you can look at them and look at those grades, and you could color code them and identify which ones are within spec, which ones aren't, very quickly. Okay, so that's a nice new feature, and this kind of follows from the features where we're again and again we are extracting we're going to more of an analysis approach, let's say that. So within TopoDOT, we're actually analyzing the geometric features and geometric vectors we extract, and when we can extract those with a lot of repeatability and a lot of we basically say, okay, what measurements can we do? So the speed advisory is a good example of that. Basically, what you need in the speed advisory, it's a pretty straightforward equation for calculating the maximum speed advisory around a curve. You have to know the radius of curvature of your road, and then you have to know the slope. These are things that you can get from a point cloud, obviously. And again, these don't have many. These point clouds don't have. They don't have to have control. So this is done very effectively, very fast. If anybody's familiar with the current way of doing it, you have instruments lying on your car and your dashboard. You're looking at the slope of the vehicle, the inclination. All that can go away with point clouds. What Mauricio is going to show you is that we can actually identify the curvature automatically, and then automatically it'll actually go through each area of curvature. It take cross section and a simple slope in each lane, and basically fill in and then you'll put in a friction coefficient, and it'll basically tell you where that speed advisory is met, is under the posted speed, and where the speed advisory is, well, I'm sorry, lower than the posted speed. So we'll color code those with things out of spec, speed advisories out of spec, and we'll give you a spreadsheet on every curvature, and it's very, very fast. So you'll see a little bit more about that, but again, that's another example of where in TopoDOT we are moving from just extracting features, extracting break lines, extracting points back to topography, and interpreting what those geometric features are and giving you those reports real time, real fast. I'll also show you too, Maudi's done a great job of basically allowing you to adjust to your, to when it does. It's very automated, but when things aren't quite what you want, the curve didn't start where you'd think it should start or whatever, you can adjust it really in speed advisory also. So again, this is an automated view of the speed advisory tool where you have all your cross sections and everything, your line of travel, and it's actually very powerful. You can see where, this is beyond what anybody's gotten, and basically this data is collected at 45 miles an hour, whatever, or whatever the posted speed limit is, and it's very, very effective way of doing that. So we're very, very happy, and we're very happy to offer that to the community, in this year. Coming late summer, I'm going to stop here. And then Maudi is going to kind of show you and go over these tools a little bit more in detail and show you how they work. Of course, then we'll have questions. And then I'm going to finish up. I'm going to come back to me. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's coming later this summer, and it's really exciting. So we'll leave that as a finale. Once more, I think my sincerest apologies to all those people that didn't get in. That's our fault for not realizing our maximum was maxed at 101. That's our bad. We're going to have to, basically make sure that, they'll be able to get this recording real quick. We'll get back to them. Of course, they can't hear us now, so I'm just apologizing to people that got in, but whatever. We'll basically make it up to them, and again, our apologies. So, Maudi, why don't you take it away, my friend, and show everybody what we've been doing and give a little more detail.
Okay. All right. So, can I see my screen there, Ted?
Yes, I got it, Maudi. What are we doing first?
All right. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Symbology Manager. And basically, that can be found up here in the Settings tab. We go to Symbology Manager. And like Ted mentioned, it's a way of setting up our all of our symbology more so by feature name rather than trying to specify a level that everything will go into. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit as well. But in this particular tool, you can come in here and you can add your own, basically your own symbology. Give it a name, a description. You'll specify if this is used for lines, points, or text. Disable or activate them necessary, and specify the symbology for each one of those different types. You can also come in here, you can edit any one of these by double clicking on them, or you can import a existing symbology from either a GeoPack SMB or InRoads XIN file, which converts it to our own format that you can, again, modify or customize. For now, I'm going to leave the ones that we have in here. Basically, I've got some created here for the back of curb, edge of pavement, flow line, and some of the features that I'm used to working. Now, one of the nice things about this is a lot of the workspaces you guys are working with can have, like hundreds of levels, and it's always been difficult for the user to go through that list of levels, for example, in the brake line extraction, and say, okay, which one of these levels belongs to my top of curb, back of curb, and so on, and try to find it in that huge list. So with the Symbology Manager, you can go in there, and if you're only expecting to be extracting, 5 or 6 or 7 different types of features, you only have to add those 7 things in there, and that way, when you're going through your tool and you're specifying it, it's a lot easier to find the symbology symbology or the feature you're trying to extract in that small list rather than trying to find it in that huge level list. So hopefully that makes sense. What's also nice here, you'll notice in this case, it's only showing me 5 different things, and I've got a lot more in here. So the reason why is you'll notice I have, for example, here a ground shots feature that only has support for points. So the tool knows that this tool here is only going to be extracting lines, so it's only going to be showing you the features that support lines in the symbology type. So it's a kind of I guess a way of further filtering that list for you to just show you what's able to be used by the tool. Okay, same goes for if I go to the elevation grid tool and I look at my level listing here. These guys here, the back curve, edge of pavement, flow line also support levels or points, so it's going to show it in that list. But it's also now going to show my ground shots feature. Okay. So let's go ahead here. You also want to make sure that you set your active method to Symbology Manager if you want to use this. Otherwise, you switch it back to by level, and it goes back to how you're used to using TopoDOT, where you specify the level and everything is created by level. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead here. I'm going to show my point cloud, and you'll notice as I start going through the tools that I'm showing you, we'll be using that symbology list as we go through and extract the different things. So in this particular case, we're going to go ahead and move on to the filter noise tool, and show you how it can benefit you in different things like extracting the paint lines. Probably the most beneficial here. You'll notice here I've isolated the intensity on the paint stripes, but we still have a lot of random noise that's kind of scattered throughout the data. This can sometimes affect the tool and give it a little bit weird results, which I'll show you here in a second. So again, I'm going to select here my paint stripes for my symbology. We'll go ahead and say define direction. And you'll notice every once in a while it kind of comes in here. It picks some points that weren't necessarily on the paint line, just because of that noise that happened to be floating around through there that it thought could possibly be part of that paint stripe. So really quick, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And in here we've got the random noise filter with the different cropping tools. And here I'm going to say only analyze active intensity range. So what that means is when you've got this max and min intensity range set and you have it set to hide, it's only looking at the data here within this range for cropping out the data. So if you're using this hide option and you see it in here, you want to make sure that that's active. Otherwise, it's going to look at the entire data set. But I'm going to go ahead and click on process. You'll notice what it did is they went through all that data and got rid of all that junk and left us just with the paint lines, some other little things here or there. And so now if I run the page stripe extraction tool on that one more time, you'll notice it's going to give me a lot better result because obviously it's got better data there to work with. Okay. The tool can also be used for other things. You'll notice here there's a min-max cluster areas. If you're looking for example, objects that are a bit larger, go ahead and show my points again. For example, if we want to get rid of the dashed lines and maybe just look for features like the solid lines, I can set a minimum cluster area of 100, I think we're in feet, 100 feet or so. And so if I go ahead and click on process, you'll notice here it got rid of a lot of the smaller things and left these longer straight areas for us. By taking that down, you'll see how it's going to start leaving more things in here as we bring that number down. Okay, or you can leave that off and it's going to just ignore that setting. And you can do the same thing the other way. If you're just looking for small objects, again, I can say just cap it out and don't give me anything over 100 or don't give me anything over 50. And you can kind of keep tweaking it and getting rid of different things that way. Okay. So again, we'll have the wiki set up with this in a little bit more detail for how everything works. Just to kind of keep things moving here, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next tool. Be here for a while.
Hey, Mounty, while we're on Symbology, I think we have a question, and before you get too far down the line, you have to go backwards. Can we answer that, I think?
Someone asked, can you load in a DGN lib to get Symbology? So, I mean, right now you import that in, that would show up as your levels. So, I mean, if you want to load in a DGN lib, you can just import it in your level manager. As far as in the Symbology Manager itself, it's not going to be able to pull in your DGN lib because it's all set up by levels in the DGN lib, whereas here we're just trying to break it up and set it up into like a feature that has more information about it. So to answer your question, it's two completely different things, different technologies. Your DGN lib you do through the microstation level manager, and it'll pull that in. Hopefully that. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead here. I'm going to jump over to a different data set. And we're going to go ahead and do the speed advisory. So that data to load there. Okay. So here we've got a bunch of data. What we've also done is we extracted some center lines here down the road. That can be done quickly by one extracting the paint line and then just doing a move parallel over to the center. But once you've got that, then you're basically ready to use the speed advisory tool. So for that, you'll notice, and one of the other changes too that was in this particular update, you'll notice a lot of the tools have been moved around to kind of keep things a little bit more consistent and make a little bit more sense. So we've got this data analysis toolbox now, so you'll find it in here's the speed advisory. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hide my point cloud for a second. And here we've got a bunch of different lines, basically, like I mentioned, representing that center line. I'm going to go ahead and select all those guys, and we're going to say the speed advisory tool. We're going to say get selected, find arcs from the get selected elements there. And you'll notice it's going to put a bunch of different triangles there showing us where it located the turns or the bends there. I can see there's also some funky ones in here, so I'm going to say modify or delete. And if you click on the tip of that arc, it's going to go ahead and get rid of it. If I want to come in here, maybe I'm not interested in those either, I can get rid of those. Or if you come in here, you select the edges of those arcs, you can actually adjust them, pull them around, and tweak it so that you have that turn maybe a little bit better for the extraction. Okay. All right. So once you have those all in there, you can also add one if something got picked incorrectly or was missing. Just click and it'll add it in there. But once we're ready, we'll go ahead and show all of our points. We'll say here, this is the posted speed that we want to check for. A friction factor, which this is something that you guys should have available if you're doing this type of analysis. It's going to depend on ice or water on the road or whatever you want to test for it. So you also have your road width and section interval being how often along the road it's sampling that data. So at this point, we just go ahead and click on process. And we'll give it a second there. It's going to be generating an Excel spreadsheet for us. Okay, for each one of those different turns. Giving us the slope calculated off the point cloud, the computed speed, and then the color code represents whether or not it's not meeting the posted speed limits or it's getting close to it. And it gives you this graph as well. Okay. Then if we come back here to the to the drawing, we can also see it plotted these elements for us as well, giving us the line that it calculated, the slope, and the calculated and posted speed for each one of those. Those are also going to be color-coded as well. In this particular case, everything looks good. And then you also have the arc radius for each one of these and element ID. Okay. Anything, Ted, you wanted to mention?
No, I think just maybe just if you have, I don't know if you have the image. If you don't have the image loaded, don't worry about it. But it's pretty sexy. I mean, I think it's just a new. It's going to be the way that you're going to do speed advisory from now on. So those of us who, those of our customers who have mobile LiDAR, this is just another thing that you can, a service you can sell. I'd encourage our friends and, typically the marketing guy or the business development guys don't always attend these and they just leave it to the CAD guys. Well, there'll be a recording. Try to get them to look at this so they know they can do this. It's not just you know how to do it, but nobody goes out and sells a service. I think it's important, and it's typically been the case that a lot of times the business development guys don't know the latest services they can even offer with their equipment. So so anyway, there'll be a recording you can download, send it to them, or a link. I don't know what it'll be, but we're going to get it out right away because again we have all these people that missed it. So we'll be doing that very shortly after this is over. Okay, yeah, nice, Maddie, great job, and yeah, I think this is really going to be a game changer. I mean, it just kind of shows the power of mobile LiDAR and where we're going to be, where you're going to see it used more and more. Okay, Maddie, what do we got next?
Okay, next thing here we've got is the grade analysis tool. So this can be used for two different things. It was actually initially developed for ACA compliance on sidewalks. So let me go ahead here. I'm going to load it, and what I've got is a center line down my sidewalk there and some center lines here down my my road. And in that same toolbox, data analysis toolbox, we've got in there the grade analysis. And in this tool, we've got, so if you go to the options, we've got a setting in here for a method. Now, this method here basically says when it's doing the comparison, it's with the center to ends option, it's basically using your center line there as the, treating that as a center. And with this option is it makes a measurement to the left, compares the grade there from the center to the left, and it also compares it from the center to the right and plots the elements that way. Ends to ends basically means it's taking a sample over here, taking a sample over here, and measuring the grade or the slope between the two measurements there. So you only get one measurement in that case. Hopefully that makes sense. And then it's also going to be comparing the grade there along the sidewalk. So for the sidewalks here and for the ADA compliance, we typically use the end-to-end. We're going to say here, go to the left 3 feet, to the right 3 feet. You can specify here some thresholds, which basically change the coloring of the elements that we're going to get. And then again, levels, so you can specify. In this case, I've got one feature that supports text, so that's all it's going to show in there. And show. I only have do that in back curve for now, but. And then we'll go ahead and select that line, click process. All right, let me hide the points out for a second. You'll notice here it plotted a bunch of elements, green being it's below that threshold, red means it's gone up beyond, so, and then plots the actual measurements there as well. Okay, so you can see that in both directions, both across the sidewalk and along the sidewalk.
Maddie, I'm a little confused. It's red. The cross section is red, but I see the grade threshold is 5%, but you have less than 5%. You have 2.45.
Cross slope is
cross slope. Oh, that's cross slope. Got it. Okay. All right. I'm with you. All right. All right. That's cross slope is across. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and then same thing here for the roads. If in this case I have a line down the center, but I want to do center to end so that it measures from that center line to the edge of the lane. Go ahead and put 5 feet in each direction. And same deal, just go ahead and select that, and you'll notice now that it's doing two measurements. I mentioned you got measurement over here, one measurement over here. Okay, and it's the center of that.
Okay. Maddie, I'll point out when you die off in your voice, we don't hear you anymore. Keep speaking in the same volume
Okay.
through the end of your sentence.
All right. And really quick here also, we can generate a spreadsheet as well. So just to show that off, we can go ahead and run that, and it should open up that Excel spreadsheet here. And basically, it's going to give you the grade and cross slope, which is a chart, and the measurements. If anybody needs anything fancier than this, just let me know, and you know, I can set up a nicer spreadsheet. But this is just to kind of spit out the numbers for the users right now. Okay, so that's pretty much that tool. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll just add there is like, once again, when you're finding yourself making measurements, you know, tens or hundreds of measurements over and over, and they're very fundamental measurements from the point cloud, just let us know. We're doing some other QA, QC tools that actually simulate like a 15-foot straight edge test for newly built roads, things like that. These are pretty straightforward to do. Is very straightforward to do inside of point clouds, and for our simulations, it doesn't take us long. So, you know, again, we depend on you to kind of give us a little feedback as to what you need. And again, if you're making the same measurements over and over, please let us know. Typically, we can automate that to a great extent for you. Okay. Anything else, Maddie, or you want to move on? Somebody's asking, can you use road alignments with this tool? Anyway, not quite sure.
Yeah, well, if I'm guessing they mean if you can use like the inroads or geopath alignment.
Sure. Okay.
I mean, if you can convert it to an element, then I mean you can run that tool on the alignment element, and it's going to drape it for you and do all the calculations for it. So, and that way you can, but it's not going to recognize your alignment right off the bat until you convert it to an element and select it to run the tool.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. And if these questions aren't being answered, let us know. Just type it in again, but I think that's straightforward. What do we have next?
Okay, the last thing here is the template tool with the shapes, just showing a quick example of that. Hopefully everybody's already more or less familiar with the template tool and how it works. In this particular example, I've got a set of noisier data. We've got a bit of misalignment, and on top of it being a little bit noisier. Let me make the points a little thicker so you guys can see it a little better over the meeting. Okay, so you can kind of see here the amount of noise. Now, typically what we would have done is come in here and made a line that kind of goes through here and you know, made some sort of shape like this. But and actually I have one created. All right, so this is typically our normal template for something like this. But what happens is if the data is noisier, all you're giving the tool is a line, so it doesn't. It looks like a little bit of a buffer around the line, but it's not taking into account all of the noise in here. So what can happen is this line might bounce around around this noise, or you know, might give you some lines that are a little bit more zigzaggy than usual, or it might just not find it at all if it's really really sparse or if it's really noisy. So what we can do now is we can actually define a shape to encompass all of the noise. Excuse me. So in this case, you know, went through here, just through a quick polygon, and basically save that template as usual.
So let's talk about that, Maddie. Can you put that up again? I think that was quick. So we actually kept the original. We put a polygon around kind of the band of the noise, right? So if you have an inch of noise, you know, you can kind of measure it and say, all right, I want something that's an inch. You kept the original line in the center. Is that always necessary, or?
I like to keep the line in the center. You'll notice it's actually a little bit thicker as well. And so I keep this larger window here, a lower line weight, basically telling it that, yeah, we want to use all that data, but, you know, try not to focus too much on that. And then by making this line in the center thicker, it's saying, okay, treat the center of this shape as a little bit higher priority, so it centers it a little bit better. So that's what you're saying.
And then you put the break lines in the, and the break lines are the red X's again in the center of that noise, right?
Yeah, you can put them wherever, but in this case, yeah, I put them there.
Yeah, it could be anywhere. I understand. Yeah, and so just to point out, I mean, and we've actually run this tool on things that were like some airborne data was 6 inches of noise, and just put it in the center of finding barriers and things, and it works. To be honest, you know, it works. I mean, it doesn't mean you're going to get, you know, but it's smooth, nice line. I mean, the accuracy is what the accuracy is based on the original data you're using, but it does work. So. So this really helps for a lot of the UAV data that's coming, a lot of scanners that are a little noisier, maybe an inch of noise instead of the typical 3 millimeters top of the line ones. But the bottom line is it makes them very useful. So Matty's going to demonstrate I think the effects of just on this little curve line, right? Using one versus the other.
Yep. So here we're going to go ahead. I'm going to open up the extraction template by path. And what I did here is I extracted a line just so we can reproduce the same exact path with the 2 different templates. So my path type, I'm just going to say selected element. We're going to go ahead and start off by just doing the template. It's just a line without the shape. Okay. Go ahead and run that. And you'll notice here it bounced around a little bit. In this particular case, I happened to lose it. If we look at the cross section here, you'll see it, since it's got this large piece of data, what it did is actually just bumped itself up here to the top of that data. And you, again, looking at
it's just a bit sloppier. It's a bit noisier. You know, it makes sense. The algorithm's working perfectly. It's just this is the nature of the data when you're using one line.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going ahead and undo that, and then we're going to go ahead and run that there with the shape. Again, we'll select the line, same settings, click process. And you should notice there it's going to, in this case, you'll see it fitted down here where we've got a bit more of that data available for us. I guess it's a little hard for you guys to see, but it's...
Yeah, we can see it. It's good. Yeah, you can see that. It basically, if you imagine the original, it did a good job. It actually fit it based on the best fit of the original of your polygon. And that's a much smoother line. And there's more extreme examples of this too, and we were using it on some airborne data looking for, see, that's the way it fit. That makes sense. So, and we were using it on some airborne data for some barriers that really, you know, we had to encompass maybe 6 inches of noise and stuff, and it worked. You know, it worked very reliable. You know, and you'll have to, you know, basically determine what you're going to claim for accuracy from that, but we can put those break lines into the center of that noise or wherever you'd like it relative to we can best fit that polygon. So I think it's still very powerful. I don't think, Matt, anything else to add on that? I think it's pretty straightforward.
That's pretty straightforward. It gets just basically built on top of the existing tool and added that functionality, the shape. So.
Once again, please practice with the templates. If something's not working, don't throw it away and say, oh, it doesn't work and do the old way. We've heard it so many times. Please give us a call. Send us a little bit of data and say, I'm trying to find this. You know, next morning we'll show you, okay, here's how you do the template. And this is going to save a lot of time. So, you know, it takes a little, you know, it takes a little kind of practice with it. But once you get a feel for it, this is the way you want to do it. And we really want to, you know, we want to encourage everyone to use the templates as much as possible. Again, and there's the draping tools. If you really, you know, after you use this, you want to drape the flow line down to the road again. You can make it more accurate in another single step automated, you know, automated function. So, you know, use the templates, make use of them. It really, you know, makes you much more productive. That about it. Is there any other questions on the tools? I think that was our last new feature, right? Our last new tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When will the new release be available for download? I think it's available, right?
Yeah, it was released actually last. I think it was last week or maybe.
Last week. So, yep. So Rebecca, you can download it as soon as you'd like. Great. Okay. We're happy to do that too.
A quick note too is if you are updating, at least with the 64-bit version of TopoDOT, make sure that you have MicroStation Connect Update 5. If you do not have Update 5 and you go to launch the new version of TopoDOT, you'll experience a crash. So just make sure you have the latest microstation update, which is update 5. And for 32-bit, that doesn't matter. Just install it as you. Okay. Ted, can't hear you.
Oh, I muted myself. Sorry. I was apologizing to someone who tried to get in. Sorry. Anyway, but we're, feel badly about that. Okay. So let's go. You guys, coming late summer, a little teaser here. This is not available yet. I just want to let you know where we're going. So everybody sees my screen, Mounty?
Yeah.
So coming late summer, we are going to be making a move into S3 ArcGIS. TopoDOT's making a move. So we're going to start establish a presence up over on the ArcMap platform. And we foresee, development from there. So let me show you a little bit about what we're doing. For those of you who were in our TUC conference, I introduced in the management section, and I think Mouty did in the new developments, something called DPEGs. DPEGs is a file format that we've come up with, and basically it's basically a way of bundling data very efficiently. So basically you have typically, so what's happening in the world is that you've got TopoDOT out there using images and point clouds and automated tools really effectively extracting everything. And a lot of our customers, you customers out there are going into a not seeing screen. Okay. Everybody sees my screen? Mal, do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So basically, everybody's out there saying, okay, I could, we really like, everything is really great what you do in CAD, but if I'm an ArcMap person and I'm a GIS person, what good is this data to me? It's kind of sitting over there. The point clouds are sitting over there. The color, I mean, there's some tough tool, there's some tools. I know ArcMap will take, or not ArcMap, but some of the other ones will take in point clouds. But that's also difficult too. It's the 3D versions. It's a little difficult to use at times. So we've actually, if you are a 2D user, if you have ArcMap, we've actually solved this problem with DPEGs. So DPEGs, going back to DPEGs actually takes all this information. It takes your color information, it takes your intensity information, your geospatial, actually also your classification now, that didn't get a chance to add. And we actually bundle them into a DPEG image. That's a depth photo exchange graphic. So all these channels are kind of overlaid. Think of them as being overlaid over each other. The geospatial channel, this point, has basically all your geospatial information. So if any point here has a geospatial location on your map. Okay, you're all in the same coordinate frame, and what this has been extracted from your original LAS files and your JPEG files inside of TopoDOT. So when you go to this platform, you're going to have a viewer like this. You're going to have a TopoDOT viewer, and basically anytime you click here, and this is an older version. Actually, we got to get the newer one, but but if you click in here, the point here will come up on the map. And then you can actually add your attributes. Or if you've done extraction in TopoDOT or extraction anywhere and you have all these points here, they will show up on the map. If you click, you can pull the closest image, and the closest image like we do in TopoDOT, and basically you'll be able to see that image and what's there. You'll be able to change things, if any editing you want to do to maybe you didn't have the right metadata or the right attributes to that particular sign, or you want to pick out maybe a line, or you want to do a measurement, you'll be able to do it in ArcMap within your DPEG. So again, that's working in the 2D version. It doesn't have to be 3D. It's working in 2D. So how do you make DPEGs and what goes on? DPEGs are created from LAS and JPEG files. So why do you want DPEGs in ArcMap? Well, the bottom line is, I just say they're efficient, they're easy, and they're ready. And when I say ready, this is going to be it's already up and operating. We're doing some betas. It's going to be just to get a feel for actual users out in the field, but it's just going to be a few weeks because it's working very well. So basically all you have to do is open a DPEG. You can transfer a DPEG. You don't have to stream data. You don't have to stream point clouds. You don't have to correlate the image with the point cloud. It's already been done for you. And how that's been done for you is inside of TopoDOT, where you can actually you use what's called a DPEG generator tool, which will be available in TopoDOT. And you will have to pay for that license. And that license actually will be an activation key. So it's going to be available there, and when you get the activation key, you can make DPEGs. Now, the DPEGs will all work with TopoCloud. They're all TopoCloud compatible. So what's going to happen is you can take all these DPEG projects, treat it as a project, like an image project, and upload those images to the Amazon cloud, to a server, anywhere you'd like to do it, and you can make them available to your customers, or internally to your GIS people who want to see those images and want to be able to do some some basically modest modifications to anything they see. It's very intuitive and user-friendly. I mean, you can learn it in 4 or 5 minutes. You can store them. You can store them easily, again, with using the TopoCloud model. So the bottom line is you're going to have 2 versions. So there's a question came up, will TopoDOT still be able to work inside of MicroStation 2? Of course. Basically what we're not leaving MicroStation. Basically TopoDOT is expanding to other platforms. So there's going to be a TopoDOT for ArcMap. There's going to be a TopoDOT for Bentley. For Bentley. It's just that. It's going to be TopoDOT. And so you're going to do all that, high-level extraction or the construction quality stuff, the design things we do. But since we're getting more and more, TopoDOT has probably our, I think the most reliable and fastest ways of extracting all these assets. We're making that step. TopoDOT TopoDOT inside of Esri will not do all the things that TopoDOT does inside of Bentley. I mean, it's just a different world. But we are still remain the gateway from point clouds and images and calibrated images into your environment. That's what TopoDOT is. So whether you're in CAD or whether you're in ArcStation, in Esri's ArcMap, it doesn't matter. Ready to go. And okay, and then so the interesting thing is your data becomes more valuable, and the bottom line is in the ArcMap world, this the quote, it's more than a viewer. I mean, it's basically selects the data. So our TopoDOT in ArcMap is going to be distributable at no cost. So the cost will be associated with making DPEGs, and we'll tell you more about that later. Anybody wants to contact us later and let us know how that works, we'll let you know. We're working on the EULA and the users agreement now. But you'll be able to all be producing DPEGs, and then those DPEGs can go anywhere you like. And of course, you'll be able to download the TopoDOT for ArcMap from our website, and basically use that. And just use that in any environment. So we just think it's going to make this data we work with every day is going to spread it out and make it much more valuable to our friends in the GIS community. Okay, so that's coming. Keep your ears to the ground. We'll let you know more, but it's very quick. It's going to be about the end of the summer. So this is time for your questions. And Mouty asked if you want to demo DPEG. So okay, Mouty, you didn't want to before, but we'll do that. All right. So Mouty, I'm going to turn it over to Mouty because he figures it'll go. We'll show you how they work. And sure, why don't you take it away, Mouty? I'm assuming everybody wants to stick around and see this. So sure, let's go.
All right, second here. Let me get it loaded up.
Oh, John. Okay, John. We're going to demo.
All right. There we go. So like Ted mentioned, we're going to be running inside of ArcMap right now. We're also working on Arc Explorer and another product hopefully there in the future. And what I'm going to do here is we have 3 different options to get started. I can either load an image project here from TopoCloud. So again, that's grabbing basically DPEGs off of the Amazon S3 server, store some caches them locally. So it's a great way to give access to your
private FTP site or whatever.
Yeah. All that stuff.
Just like TopoCloud works now, guys. Really got to get it. If you don't know much about TopoCloud, please ask us about that too.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead here. Let me pull in my images. In this case, I'm just loading everything within a folder. I've got about 2,500 images or so. Each one of these images, like Ted mentioned, has different channels. So I can look at the intensity, I can look at the depth or the classification that was assigned for that. You'll notice here in my arc map, it's showing me this green vector, showing me where that image is located. So I can march down those images and see what is happening there with those. I can also look, if you look at the cursor there on my mouse, you'll see that little blue circle that's showing me the depth available there for that point. So as I come in here and I move off that barrier, you'll see it gets smaller, telling me that that's something that's further away. Just giving you a quick way of checking that. You can also come in here and measure. So if I want to say, okay, this lane, how wide is it? It's going to let me measure that. You can also see just the delta Z if you're looking for kind of measurement there. You can also start doing some extraction. So let's say here I want to extract these paint lines. I can go ahead and start editing. We'll say create feature, paint line. And then what happens here is if I go ahead and click on that, you'll notice they put that point there into ArcMap. Go ahead and click on that next one. Keep moving forward. Click. Click, and you'll see it. I'm starting to build those lines there in my my drawing. I'll go ahead and double click that to finish that off. And then you can come in here, put in your different attributes, like whatever you put in there. And then you can do the same thing with signs. So let's say here I see there's a whatever this thing is here, traffic pole or sign or something there. Well, again, we'll go here to create features. In this case, I only have two things. Obviously, you guys have a little bit more complicated thing here, and then go ahead and click on that sign, and it goes and puts that in the world where it should be. So everything we're clicking here is basically producing a 3D coordinate. I know Ted was saying 2D a lot earlier, but every pixel here is being mapped to a 3D world coordinate. It's just that in ArcMap we're working in 2D. And then also one quick thing is, like Ted mentioned, we can come in here, and if we're interested in seeing an image at any particular point, I can click. For example, let's say we want to see what that looks like over here, and it's going to pull up that closest image for me, similar to how we work with TopoDOT. Okay. So anything, Ted, that I left out, or any?
Okay, someone's asking what size hard drive, video card, and processor you see us needing. I guess nothing out of the ordinary, right?
Yeah, no, this really doesn't require
anything
much at all. Yeah.
That's the beauty. I mean, I think, so Mouty was mentioning that, I mentioned 2D. I mentioned 2D a lot. But I think the real key here is we've actually brought this 3D information and made it useful in a 2D environment. It's a mapping environment in ArcMap, because ArcMap's fundamentally 2D, right? Unless I'm wrong. I'm probably right about that.
Well, the coordinates they can be stored either 2D or 3D.
Yeah, they can be stored in 3D. Yeah, so we have brought this 3D information, but you don't have to have the capability of the newest 3D S3 products, right? We're in the 2D. So that's kind of the point I was making there. Now DPEGs, again, process and data requirements. Basically, if you have TopoDOT, you can make a DPEG. And that's all. It's really not going to be difficult, because all we actually done. The interesting thing about this image and these channels, that was a 4 megapixel JPEG, and I think with all the information that we've extracted and added and bundled together, the DPEG is 7 meg. So downloading these, using them, loading them, using them locally, using them from the, pull them down from the web, pull them down from your server, pull them down from the cloud, if it's, is not a heavy lift. And you're going to see what you're interested in, right? So you're going to download them, and then they'll be local, right? It works the same way. Topo Cloud always works once you're used to it. Okay, and then sure. So Kathy's asking about the current specking out computers for the next 2 years. We'll get that to you, Kathy, but I suspect anything you're specking out, it's not going to be a problem here.
Yeah. If they're specking for and planning on using TopoDOT, that would be a better place to focus on than
spec on TopoDOT. And TopoDOT really has just come down to with the 64-bit. You want to go to the Connect version there, and then you're going to need a lot of. You just want to max your RAM, because we can use it all now, and that's really the key.
We have a tech note also available on our website that has the specifications for that recommended spec.
Okay, Fabian, can you make sure Catherine, Leon, and anybody else is interested? There's a tech note on the, there it is. So Catherine, if you get that, TopoDOT for MicroStation, you spec for that, and you're fine. Okay? All right, so I hope that answers your question, Catherine. Anybody else? We able to find assets by group extraction, say find all the signs, or will be a single pick for assets. John, yeah, it's going to be a single pick. I mean, this won't replace TopoDOT inside of MicroStation, inside of Bentley and Connect for extraction, because it'll never be as fast. It'll never be as quick. So we don't foresee this audit. We don't see it's a heavy load. If somebody wants to go down and make all these lines individually, fine, but that would be insane. You should be doing that in the TopoDOT, CAD environment, and then you export all your shape files. Everything will come out here, over here. Just import them. You'll have all your line work and anything. But what we see is that you're able to, your GIS people now can use your data, everything you've extracted, and the poor guys want to go, oh, you said this is a sign. I'd like to see it. Well, now they can. They can click on it and see it. Oh, I don't think you guys called it the right sign, or we should call it something else. They can modify it. It's all available. It's all at their fingertips. So John's got it. I hope everybody else has. That's really going to be powerful. So we're making that connection, that jump, but you can't beat the extraction. You saw clicking on one line. Nobody wants to do that for miles when you can do it automatically in intensity. That's crazy. So that's the workflow, but it's just TopoDOT's it's spreading its wings over more. Think of TopoDOT just spreading its wings over more applications. And then there's a TopoDOT for S3. There's a TopoDOT for Bentley now. Okay. The viewer, and again, if I didn't make that clear, what you're seeing on this side, that is available to anyone that wants to use it. So there'll be, when it's available, all they have to do is come to our website and download it, install it, or you can get your IT people to download it, and they can install it on as many machines as they'd like.
Just to clarify on that, it's not released or available yet, but it's going to be free for people to go and grab on the website. But it's
right. It's not available yet, so don't run out yet. But it's not. It's going to be and somewhere in August. End of August would be a long time. So we're heading in that direction. We're very happy with the way it's working, and we've just made it seamless. And congratulations to Maudie and the team. Just made it seamless. With our Topo Cloud, which is getting more and more popular for storing and accessing data, and now it just fits right into it. Put a DPEG. Just make a DPEG, a bunch of DPEGs, and you don't have to worry about point cloud streaming, loading different big pieces of information. You'll get what you need. It's all going to be bundled where you need it, and it'll all be in 3D in a 2D representation, so to speak. So it's very effective. So again, those DPEG generators, the DPEG generator is in TopoDOT. That's what we'll be, asking for you guys to pay for to support all this, and you'll be actually the annual maintenance will be how many DPEGs you make, or maybe it'll be a fixed price version too. But the bottom line is that's how we'll support it, and then you can add value to your data and have people use it. So does that make sense? Okay. So again. I don't think we have any more, Maudie. Is that enough, I think, huh?
Yeah, run over our time here. So.
Okay, so we have TechNote number is going to be, TechNote number will be available. I'm working on that right now. I'm working on it, John, so I know everybody's excited. Give us a little time, but within a few weeks, you'll be seeing this come out. I'll put together something this week. I'll get anybody that wants it a little available, teaser, but the bottom line is it'll going to be available shortly, yeah, we'll get all this out. So the new tools, so you kind of see how everything plays together. Again, if you talk to anybody outside, the guys, even if it was in your organization, they couldn't get in, we apologize. It used to be 250 some, now it's 100. I didn't realize it, and our oversight. So we'll be recording this and getting it to them. So I'm going to stop the recording now. So again, thank you everyone. Let us know how we can help you. We're always available. Okay. So have a good day, good rest of the week, good summer if we don't talk to you, and please keep letting us know what you need, how you need it, and we'll do our best to help you. Okay? Thanks, Mouty. Great job. Thanks, Fabian. Talk to you later, guys.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.